Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how to lay a table correctly per restaurant standards. So, most restaurants in the world, they tend to have a certain specific layout. There are different styles, different methods. It's dependent on the organization and who does it and how, but it's always a variation on something like this. Now again, this is Western style. It will vary depending on regional requirements, but for most places it's something along these lines. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is place the main plate. Some restaurants don't have these. This is where the plate would go when you bring the plate from the kitchen to the table. But it's a good measurement of what we need to do. This is directly in front of the chair, which would be here. And it has to be around about 2 fingers away, between 2 and 2.5 centimeters, 1 inch if you like, from the edge of the table. Having done so, what I want to do next is put the cutlery from the sides going out. Now this is done in reverse order of how the courses go. So your soup course would go on the outside, then your starters, then your main course. Sometimes, if someone orders a steak for example, some of that cutlery will have to be replaced, so the main knife will be replaced with a steak knife. For instance, it varies from place to place. This video will show you just the basic layout principles and why they're done that way. So the next part we have to do is what goes immediately to the left and right, which are the main fork and main knife. Fork on the left always, and knife on the right. Now, this brings up an interesting and very important key point here. These things have to be absolutely correctly aligned. It must be straight, it must be lined up center to center, and at the same distance from the edge for, not the plate, but the cutlery. Neatly aligned, same distance apart, symmetry is the key. The reason why these things must be symmetrical, why everything must be neatly aligned and correct, is because the guest will subconsciously notice the attention to detail. That impression, that service level will straight up, honestly, influence how they feel about the meal. This is a key feature. Same thing applies to when the chefs arrange the meal on the plate and do the presentation. This will influence how the meal tastes. It sounds weird, but it's true. And part of that is the presentation of this particular setting. So, as I was saying earlier, sorry, I got a bit distracted there. So, main knife, main fork. Next step, starters. Start a fork around about there. Start a knife around about there. And now you're beginning to see how the patterns start to align. Now it looks neat. They're aligned with each other. The knife edge always inways. Don't forget, guys, facing that way. Same thing for the next part, which is the side plate. For those of you who are wondering about fine dining and similar, and if you've never been to a restaurant like that, where they have a side plate next to the settings, the next side plate over from the guy sitting next to you is going to be about here. So if you're not sure which one to use, it's the one on your left. There you go. That's that. Now, next thing, a butter knife for use with your side plate. This is for spreading butter onto a bread roll or anything like that that comes along as part of the starters. You know, a basket full of bread rolls. That's for use with the butter on that thing. If, you know, you have something other use for this thing, fine. If you don't have one of these, that's fine. Purpose here is to illustrate how neat everything is supposed to be. And that you do need quite a lot of cutlery for the average setting. Now, in this particular scenario, we're going to have a soup starter. So before the starters are used, there'll be a soup, which requires a soup spoon. On the right. Now you begin to see how these things line up, like this. There are different schools of thought about this. Some people prefer to do it this way, where everything lines up on the base lane, like that. In which case both sides must be the same. And you know, that looks pretty neat too. So, not bad. Now, that's your soup course, your starters. your main course. What about dessert? Dessert goes on top. Now, I've heard several variants of this, but generally speaking, fork and then spoon, making sure to align it center and level. That is your dessert course. So once everything's been cleared away here, the waiter will come and take the fork and the spoon, or the guest, depending on the organization. One does this way, one goes that way, and then you have a fork and a spoon with which to enjoy your dessert. So, that's looking pretty good. It's fairly straightly aligned. Yeah. What's missing? Oh, I know what's missing. The wine glasses. But before we get there, one quick note. I haven't quite, not quite straight there. There we go. I haven't quite pointed out that there's another course missing from this one, which is the fish course. So you've heard the phrase 3-course meal or 5-course meal or 7-course meal or something like that. Well, that's what all this cutlery is for. This is for a standard 3-course meal. Sorry, 4-course. Losing count again. Soup, starters, mains, dessert. 4 courses. What they do is they add something else afterwards, like nuts and cheeses and things like that, and there you have your standard 5-course meal. But we're not getting cutlery for that. This is the standard opening setting. This setting is used for a 5-course meal or a variation of this for a 3-course or 1-course or what have you. But yes, as I was saying, sometimes there's a fish course included. So, quick little side note. As you can see, these things are different sizes. I'll talk about all of that, different types of cutlery in another video. But for now, just so you know, a very small difference which I do see in some restaurants. This is a standard fork. Yes, everyone knows what a fork is. And this is a fish fork. It's a little notch over there. There's some differences between these two things, and some restaurants, I've seen waiters do this, use this one instead of this one. These two are both the same size as the starter fork. Know the difference? Don't use this one unless you're doing fish. Very important. We'll cover all the different types of cutlery in a later video, but for now, just remember that particular tip because I do see it very often. So, that's all well and good. What are we missing? That's right, the glassware. For wine service, most people in this style of dining, they have wine with their main courses. Not mandatory, but it's recommended. So, wine glasses go on the top right. Actually, all glasses go on the top right. If you serve someone a beer, it goes there. But for now, you have to put 2 glasses there. But why 2? Very simple. This is a white wine glass. You check the previous video. You see how well I've polished it. This is a red wine glass. You see the difference? It's size. So, different ways of doing it, different styles. Personally, what I do is put the bigger glass in the center. So the red wine glass, the bigger fella, goes exactly there. See? Easy to reach if you're right-handed. And the white wine glass goes at a 45-degree angle there. Let's see. Like that. Now, one more quick once over to make sure everything is fine. Yep, centered. Oh, not level. Not good. Note the small gaps in between. Space these things out. Don't run up against each other. Like that. Very unprofessional. Straight, straight. Lined up and careful. To make it look very visually appealing. Note that the cutlery stays on the same level, including this fellow and this guy. One straight line. And there you have a very standard 5-course meal setting. Almost every Western style layout is a variation on this. So there you go. That's the order of things, that's how they go. That is the basic principles. And I have seen in 5-star restaurants, the head waiter or the manager will take an actual ruler and measure how far away everything is and how it's supposed to be to the millimeter. So yeah, the reason for that, as I explained, that's how luxury do, and that is how guests sit down, see the setting, and just appreciate the experience a little bit more. So that's how you lay a table. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.